Okay, I'm just gonna do this anyway. It's always the same every time I start. If you can hear a buzzing in the background, hopefully that'll fade into the background. That's just the boiler. The boiler's on the way out. Anyways, yeah, man. So back at work now, and it's post riots, and the crackdown has been in full effect for at least a month now. What were we in? We're in October now. September, October. Total police crackdown in North London. Loads of innocent young black guys getting picked up, and you know, as I reiterated in the other posts, it's not your average roughneck that's getting picked up. No, it's the smarter sixth form student type black boy, the one who's coming back with the shirt and the tie and the blazer or the cardi. Those are the ones that are getting picked up. Okay. Right, North London, the crackdown for rioting and looting. Yeah, it's the children of the decent black families. Those are the ones that are getting pulled up and goaded into some form of criminal activity. And this is coming from a black professional, educated man who has spent 12 months, bloody hell, no, spent 12 hours in a police cell off the back of some bullshit. And if that's how they treat the adults, boy, the kids are going for a hard time right now. Anyways, so I don't know if I mentioned this, but just before the start of the holidays, yeah, I had two students in my room, and we were going for an esoteric conversation on biblical scriptures, i.e. we were coming through some scriptures on the Apocrypha. I don't know if any of you, don't know if you're aware that your Bible's got books missing. It's called the Apocrypha. If you've got a proper King James version, you'll have the Apocrypha. Anyway, don't really want to get into that. That's not the point. The boys were drawing certain conclusions off these scriptures that hitherto they were not aware of, and were coming into a more enlightened state of, let's say, understanding of spiritual nature. Okay, we were talking about Maccabees. They've gone through Maccabees, first Maccabees, then also, anyway. So they were all excited. As I said, don't believe anything I say. Go away and research it yourself, and then you can come back to me and tell me I'm talking bullshit. And these boys came back to me and totally enlightened and enthralled, having a discussion with another teacher. They were trying to make their newfound awareness known to someone who had very staid opinions, or if not, let's say, zero biblical knowledge or enthusiasm. And we're talking about another teacher. We're talking about one of the light-skinned, I think he's probably even mixed-race Jamaican teachers. Okay, so he came over to me before the end of term, telling me that I shouldn't be having these types of conversations with the students. I'm leading them up a garden path, and they got no sources of reference. I'm not saying sources of reference is the fucking Bible. What are you talking about? Oh, by the way, we're in a Christian school. Get the fuck out of here, man, you fucking moron. Anyway, the long and short of it is this black man can't really take another black man knowing anything outside the realms of let's say the core syllabus. and it's an affront to him. How dare I give these young people a closer relationship to God? How dare I help them do that? That's not my job. That's Father X job. So I sent him on his way. Holidays now, and then what do we have? We have a riot. Lo and behold, we have right now. We're back in school now, and it's a training day. I come in and I see this dude, and he's there laughing and joking, going, "You still doing your militant teachings?" And I said, I just leant over and I said, "Listen, we're in the midst of. We've just had a riot in the borough. We're in the midst of a police crackdown. You're laughing and joking about this. I'd like to ask you, what have you been teaching your students? Have you been arming your students to deal with the current police crackdown to stop these potentially educated young black men from being criminalized by unscrupulous police tactics. What have you been doing? And he's like, oh yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad you can laugh and joke about it. This is a fucking coon I'm talking to. I said, I'm glad you can laugh and joke about it because I take this really seriously. We're talking about a whole generation being criminalized for nothing in a backlash for austerity riots that the black man has been blamed for, or the black boy. Right? Oh, well, you know, it depends whether or not you want the confrontation. And I said, want the confrontation? That just goes to show how much of a man you are. And I think I got about a gasp of about 5 or 6 attitudes. I said, I think we're dealing with students, right? You're talking about confrontation, that gives a great indication as to what type of man you are. And I got a couple of like, ooh, right, okay, so, you know, we have our lunches training day. I'm back up in my room. I'm working away on the computer, banging out the tasks for the next year. And this coon comes in. Oh yeah, it sounds like you were trying to, like, you know, make aspersions. Or I looked around and I was like, oh, it's you again. I was like, haven't you had enough? Haven't you had enough? These coons come to try and fucking instigate problems, and I know behind him there's a handler somewhere. So find out what he's talking to the students about. That's what they're saying to him. And like a fucking good little lapdog, he obliges, but he doesn't realize that I'm a chess player and this is chess, ain't fucking checkers. Man's coming with some diagonal moves. Give me a break, I've got strategies. So, you know, I said, listen, run along. Why don't you just run along? Aren't you better off? No, in fact, before I even got to that part, I said, listen, you know, this is really serious. Our boys are being criminalized. And you're trying to have conversations with me about, you know, not talking to students and informing them. Here we are, post-riot. What the fuck are you saying? You're acting like a scared black man. Are you a scared black man? Too scared to inform students in case you offend massa? Is that the case? And he just looked at me and said, oh, and I said, listen, I've been telling them how to protect themselves against the police. What have you been doing? He said, that's not my job. That's what I don't have to do that. I said, right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I see what you are, right? And who you are. Now, obviously, what he is a fucking coon. That's what he is. But, you know, who he is a teacher that's been getting below 60% on a regular basis. And, you know, against my 100%, give me a break. I'll put my grades off against his any day of the fucking week. Thank you very much. Right? But, you know, we're in an altered state here where the coons have been running riot, and it's like they've run off the cliff. The coons have run off the cliff, and they still think they are hard, and they still think they have power. And it's like they've run off the cliff. They don't realize there's actually nothing underneath them. And they come across me, and I just put my hand on their forehead, and they swing. And I just got my hand on their forehead, and they're swinging and missing. And all of a sudden, they're looking down, and they're realizing, fuck, there's nothing underneath me. The coons are coming up against the righteous. The righteous have their game, their strategy, their results, their lineages, and the coons are only there by koonery. Now, this is a sad indictment on the philosophy of teachers of color in the workplace, too scared to do Black History Month presentations, too scared to inform young black kids on how to protect themselves after a fucking riot, the biggest thing in their generation, and you're going to try and fucking ignore it and pretend it didn't happen and tell me that it's not your job to inform students about how to protect their own fucking human rights, so police can come and beat the shit out of them, wind them up, and then subsequently criminalize them. Things are bad, man. I have to, you know what, this isn't even a formal blog, I haven't written anything down, I'm just saying what the situation is, I'm saying what I've encountered. I'm gonna have to go back and fucking edit this now, because I put my name in it and shit, because I'm just talking off the top of my head, and this is what the situation is, man. It's bad. Oh, by the way, let me just end with this. I got 100% pass rate for 6 years in a row. The first 3 years were kind of hard, right? Because it was just pure work. Year 4 was quite suspicious, and I couldn't really work out what was going on. But by year 5, I realized that the other black female members of staff were targeting my lessons because my name was on the general timetable, and they were targeting my lessons and extricating students from my lessons for extra lessons in their subjects to try and pad out their own grades, because they knew I was developing smart kids. I was taking dumbasses and turning them into smart kids. And the first 3 years were hard. Year 4 was particularly a hard struggle, and I couldn't work out what was going on, but then I was being all righteous, and I was being kind of moralistic and kind of evangelic about my cause. But by year 5, I had students coming back to me telling me that teachers were pulling me out of my lessons to do their lessons because they devalued my lessons, even though we have been providing the best results for the school year on year for the last 6 years. If I do it again, it'll be 7. Okay, so the way I got my sixth year of 100% was by taking my name off the register so the fucking coons couldn't sabotage my lessons.